Xiao Xiao is a lot like Keen, where he's willing to pull out any champion at any time.
跟他对线就感觉很危险，你就感觉你的视野控制很差的。比如他突然往前走一步，你就感觉到很危险。
When I'm playing against Wei Xiao, I'm constantly in the back of my head thinking, if I go for this trade, will Rush show up?
Here's some flashes, the ulti channel, and there's one more hit. Kill goes to the mid laner.
我们如果能赢下 TSM， 对我们整个就是季前赛这个赛季的排名跟参加季后赛有很大的影响。
Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Freak here with TIP coach Fly. Thank you for joining us. I want to talk to you about your team and the growth that we've seen from them. In the first split, 4 and 5, and then you won a bunch in a row. Now we're here in the second split. You went 4 and 5 in the start. You've won a bunch in a row. Why is your team such slow starters every split?
그 팀 임펄스 보면요, 저번 시즌도 그렇고 첫 번째 라운드에서는 뭐 4번 이기고 5번 치고 그 다음 두 번째 라운드에서 좀 더 잘하시잖아요. 그 이유가 뭐라고 생각하세요?
팀워크가 이렇게 서서히 좀 맞춰지는 것 같아요. 저희가 다시 합숙을 했을 때 많은 문제점을 보였었는데 그걸 바로 고치지 못하고 좀 오랫동안 걸려서 고친 것 같아요.
So we're getting better teamwork and team synergy as the season goes on. When we got back together in the gaming house, we had a lot of mistakes that we couldn't fix in time, and then gradually we're improving.
All right, so speaking of the improvement, then you guys are poised to take a spot at the World Championship at the end of this year. You're tied for 3rd. What's it going to take to beat Team SoloMid, advance well in the playoffs, and take one of those spots for Worlds?
이제 그 2위에 계신데요. 그 TSM과 같이 이번에 이기면은 그 월챔에 가실 수 있잖아요. 어떤 전략을 가지고 계신지 좀 설명해 주세요.
TSM 전에 특별한 전략을 준비한 건 아니에요. 저희가 플레이오프를 염두에 두고 계속 연습하고 있고 여러 가지 전략을 가지고 있어서 뱀픽에 따라서 사용할 것 같아요.
So we didn't prepare a special or particular strategy for TSM. We're continually prepping for playoffs, and then we have multiple strategies that we can pick from, and we're gonna focus on picking back.
All right, so final question. Then I actually want to talk to you about the new patch. We're on 5.13 here. Devour is really good. Runeglaive got buffed. Do you feel like this makes Rush in particular like even scarier? Is this now going to be like the best jungler in North America?
이번에 패치 있고 나서 뭐 여러 아이템들이 좀 강화됐잖아요. 룬글레이브랑 뭐 디바우 등등. 그래서 이게 그 러쉬 선수를 좀 더 강력하게 만들고 더 무서운 정글러로 만들 것인지 여쭤보고 있네요.
네, 어느 부분은 러쉬가 잘해졌다고 생각하는데 반대로 다른 정글러들이 그에 좀 적응을 많이 못하는 것 같아요. 네. 어느 정도는 인정해요. 네.
I think Rush definitely got better with the patch. Another factor is that other junglers didn't really adapt to the new meta.
All right, so Coach Fly, thank you very much for your time. Hopefully TAP does adapt much better than they did for the Center Hulk changes. And for another perspective on that game, we're going to send it down to Jat.
Thank you, Freak. I'm across the stage here with Locodoco, and I just want to start off with last week, Loco. TSM suffered their first 0-2 week in over a year. What have you guys done to correct that so it doesn't happen again?
So Andy started taking a really active role, and he helped us a lot. Like, he basically took over the head coach role, and he helped team with the basics. I think that's what was most missing. And back to the blueprint, I guess, making sure our basics are on point and that we're communicating the right way and we're improving as a team, that everything's productive, and the TSM of yesterday is better than the TSM, or TSM of tomorrow is better than the TSM of today.
Yeah, going in positive direction, obviously. You guys, this is now your second game against TIP this split. Since you are going back to basics, what do you need to do against Team Impulse to take them down?
I mean, versus TIP, regardless of who we're playing, if we stick to our basics and we're pulling off our comps in the correct way, if we're communicating about it the right way, we're playing the mid game right, I feel like we have better players, so we should just win off of good basics, good, solid team play.
Yeah. All right, Locodoco, thank you very much for the interview. Let's send it up to the caster desk to take us into the game of the week.
Thank you very much, chat. And the teams are loading up on stage right now for our game of the week. Team Impulse versus TSM. And Tip are right now on a hot streak, finishing back-to-back weeks 2-0 and climbing from 6th place and now to a tie for 3rd. While TSM are in unfamiliar territory and are on the longest losing streak this year. To turn things around, the TSM owner, Reginald, is stepping up to have a bigger role in the team's coaching, as we just heard Locodoco say as he was talking to Jack.
Yeah, exactly. And if you did see the last episode of, TSM Legends, their web episode, one of the things that Reggie also pointed out is that TSM have been playing really reactively. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, wow, they're playing Impulse, which are exactly the opposite. Team Impulse may be the most proactive team. Yeah. They're constantly looking for plays, even if they're behind. And you can really see this play out in their jungler style of obviously Rush. He's got this tendency to go for very high-risk early game plays way more frequently than anybody else in the North American LCS. He's constantly looking for fights, which has resulted in him putting up the highest damage per minute among all junglers. And obviously the most deaths as well.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Santorin is the exact opposite. He has the fewest deaths among all junglers in North American LCS, and also the lowest damage per minute to champions. So he spends a lot more time doing his damage to neutral monsters, farming, and doesn't put himself in those risky situations.
Awesome to see that comparison. Something we'll definitely keep an eye on as we head into the game. And meanwhile, a lot of players on Team Impulse have never been described as cautious. Kobe was even just saying it. Xiao explains why he favors the aggressive playstyle.
我们之前的队伍 AMQ 本来就是一个非常喜欢这样打的队伍，然后我也就是比较不喜欢现在就是整个北美这种风格，就是 farm 然后打团战。我就是非常喜欢打那种小规模团战，去用优势滚雪球去赢得游戏，而不是通过 farm 然后去打最后一波团战来赢得这个游戏的。所以说，然后 Rush 跟 Impact 打法风格跟我差不多，所以说因为我们3个人在基本上就会打得很激进，在就是大部分的游戏里面。
That's kind of how I always think of their team. It's Rush, Impact, and Xiao going around looking for fights, and the bottom lane like, hey, wait for us, we're coming. We're trying to catch up.
That's why you put them on Sivir, so they can catch up to you. Yeah. Also, it reminds me of just LMQ. Like, if they died in a fight, they tried to get back to the fight. I say this before, but it's always like they try to just get the batting order back in to keep the fight going, because that's how they like to play. We'll see if it happens here in our next matchup. Let's check the starting lineups. On the blue side, it's going to be Team Impulse. That is Impact in the top lane, Rush in the jungle, Xiao in mid, Apollo at AD carry, and Adrian at support with Coach Fly.
And on the red side, it's TSM. Up top is Dyrus in the jungle, Santorin, mid, Bjergsen, AD carry, Wild Turtle, support Lesboy, Coach Locodoco.
So Impulse themselves had a few kind of back and forth, a bit of a troublesome time where Champion Select wasn't working out for them. We saw in the beginning of the split, they were saying, the break just has not allowed us to keep up our same play, and we don't know what happened.
I think that by far the most important single champion in this matchup is Nidalee.
Yeah.
Nidalee is so good right now with the buffs of Runeglaive. She got even better. It is Santorin's main solo queue champion. It is Rush's current main champion now that Lee Sin is kind of his secondary choice just because of how good she is. Now the second most important champion is that Sivir that you mentioned. And whenever you're playing against Team Impulse, I would suggest denying them that speed boost. Nidalee not finding herself on the ban list early. Rise, though, also extremely powerful here, still from the top. Obviously, we went over the changes, to how they were able to reduce the perma-root situation, but increase the damage. So still a very strong late-game powerhouse. They don't want Impact to go all carry mode all over them.
Still could happen. Because it's that crazy.
Sivir does rear her ugly head.
Yep, there will be the bans. Corky has been what Apollo has selected, or Graves besides this. We'll see what kind of composition they put together. Usually if it can't be around that Sivir, it's completely around something else. They still don't try to go for that crazy comp.
Yeah, I mean, Impulse have showed very strong team play with multiple teleports in their team comp. Xiao has picked up his TF once again. So that is always an option. TSM do have the guaranteed counter pick on red side, though. Alistar going to be the last one. That enables a lot of Impulse diving. So 3 fairly strong bans here for TSM. I think they're daring Impulse to take away the Nidalee early. Santorin definitely would be happy to take the champion as well, so maybe they'll get it
for sure
in the backswing on their first round. What are Impulse willing to first pick in the 5.13 match here?
I think Rush has the control to be able to do it. The Gragas is up, and that's what they're going to be left with on TSM. Why not? You don't even have to first pick it now. We'll see what TSM tries to go for now that they do see that Nidalee picked up for Rush.
I mean, it was a bold move here for TSM to leave that up, but I just consider that champion right now, and combined with the player, with Rush, that is very dangerous.
You're getting your Super Saiyan.
That's dangerous for TSM to let that go in exchange for Corki Shen.
Hopefully Dyrus can be ulting the right person that's about to get exploded.
Yeah, or
Rush.
Lustboy.
Or Lustboy, you're right. Yeah, we actually have seen him do it a few times recently. Team 8, they had that loss, and the loss against Liquid as well. Actually, those were the first ones, so they haven't fared well with that Shen in the bot lane.
Yeah, well, third time's a charm.
Third time's a charm, Kobe. We'll see if they can get it. That Corki, however, as I mentioned, Apollo has been playing that lately, so Wild Turtle takes that, may force him out of the grades, maybe something else.
As a champion, though, I do agree with a Shen pickup. You know, whatever lane you decide to put him in against Team Impulse.
He's pretty great, right?
It's so good against Team Impulse. Plus, since TSM have identified that they have a tendency to play reactively, that is the reactive play champion to have is Shen. So when Impulse do go for one of their plays,
you're playing
try
against
and dive somebody,
or a team that wants to fight, have a guy that can teleport to that fight all the time. So we have a Maokai and a Janna picked up now. Adrian's going to be trying his hand on that. Back in CLG Week 6 victory, he played that as well. So see what they can get in. Still keeping the Janna, usually with the Sivir comp. Still a good support nonetheless. Maokai picked up here for a bit of late game fight, just to be as tanky as that Shen. They do pick up the Gragas, so they can counterpick Bjergsen in that, or they can get the counterpick, I should say, from Bjergsen in the mid lane. Let's see if TSM has shaken off the cobwebs here that have been plaguing them for the past week or so.
All right, well, Gragas does provide some disengage. Interesting, though. They're staring a Nidalee in the face, which means that there will be poke. Whether Impulse want to double down on the poke and also get a poke mid laner has yet to be seen. But TSM have to already think about that option and start thinking about ways to get around. You know, Jan and Nidalee already has a good, you know, poke and defense disengage there. Gragas going to be locked in, who, you know, is very versatile.
Right.
Can disengage for himself or try and follow up on an anti-stun to get a perfect cast so he can separate the enemy team and knock some people forward. Corki has really been rising in popularity very quickly, actually, with the recent patches. We'll see if Turtle's able to make good use of that champion, try and rush up to his Trinity Force. Provides some poke of his own as well.
Apollo not saying much here. Very quiet.
Yeah, interesting. What does he want to run here?
What does the team want him to run? All right, there's a talk.
I mean, it's been Graves
we got it.
or Kog'Maw constantly in previous weeks when the Sivir is banned.
Nope, you're right. Apollo has gone back to that Kog'Maw. Xiaowei Xiao's Orianna was actually pretty effective in the mid lane recently, so he goes back to that. We'll see what they can do.
A much more...
Yasuo on the side of TSM, they're just showing it off.
Much more standard team here from Team Impulse. And, you know, but it is worth mentioning that in the last couple of weeks, they have shown multiple styles, new faces for them. They had that comeback win. They also had the poke comp. They've had, you know, double teleports. So Impulse have been branching out a little bit. Right now, they've got the standard Maokai plus Orianna combo.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit of poke from Nidalee, as well as some from an AD Kog'Maw. It's definitely nowhere near mid lane.
Bjergsen is just giving up his champion pool right now. Stop it, man.
Bjergsen's champion pool probably consists of every champion.
He would love to show love, he said. Love to love. But it's a love-hate relationship, ladies and gentlemen.
Give them a taste of their own medicine. Double teleports from TSM.
Yep. So nicely done. This is, as Kobe was saying, that other composition. If Impulse doesn't get Sivir that sometimes they run with, Team SoloMid has put it in their hands here to globally run around the map. We'll see if Impulse can keep control of that, and it might be kept under control by Rush's early game.
And that is key, Riv, because TSM are going to have to stick to global plays, cross-map plays, you know, controlling objectives that way, trying to gain advantage by moving quicker across the map, because Impulse have the stronger team fight here. If they're allowed to build up, they have quite the AoE. They've got.
Yeah.
And we'll see the rush. We'll see what the rush factor is, though. If Rush is able to attack either of the solo laners, who both have teleports and could help each other out.
Last few words from the coaches as they head to the middle. Fly and Locodoco, we just heard from them how they feel about the teams and each other. Actually, Fly talking a little bit about strategy, which we'll get into in the game. Interesting that he didn't plan specifically for Team SoloMid. We'll talk about it a little bit. Time for you at home, however, to weigh in on this match. Tweet at LOL Esports with the hashtag TIP win or the hashtag TSM win. We'll mash your vote with all the others and update the fan polling just a bit as usual. A lot of TSM chants coming into this matchup. A lot of eyes are going to be on Rush. A lot of eyes on Santorin as well. The pick and ban phase, something that people are looking at for TSM. It seems to have gone a way that they can work with here, and they haven't really tripped over their own feet. See what both teams have for each other. With all this talk about junglers, we do hear Bjergsen saying that Rush's early moves can make or break Team Impulse.
I think one of the bigger things about TIP is just Rush early aggression, because I feel like it really, either it puts them ahead or it puts them behind, because he's going to take risks where he can potentially get caught or get chunked and have to back and lose a lot of pressure in his own jungle. But Rush often dictates the game with his playstyle, and that's why he's so high in solo queue ladder on NA and Korea's, because he plays very aggressive and sometimes it has huge payoffs. That's something we need to watch out for.
Yeah, I think that's no surprise to anybody that Rush is definitely #1 on Bjergsen's mind, as is Bjergsen on the entire team of Team Impulse. Both these teams have very clear leaders to point to and playmakers to point to.
Always wondering if Rush is going to be there if he goes all in on Xiao. That's what we heard from him.
Well, Twisted Fate, luckily enough, has an ability where he will reveal the position of every other Team Impulse member. Rush right now is setting up for the double camp start. Gromp into the 3 traps that are just waiting for the blue buff minions to walk over. So he's going to start that side. Looks like we will have the lane swap. Apollo and Adrian going to be safe up in the top lane, 2 versus 1. Let's see how the double jungling goes. Maokai's been able to set up Xiao as well for an early experience lead with his saplings. So Xiao, small experience lead for Orianna, should come fairly easily here. Oh, missed one.
Got him. Also like the start here by Bjergsen in the mid lane. Boots Biscuits as well. Keep himself in the right spot. Also to avoid some sneaky ganks from Rush, possibly.
Play some dodgeball, Rib.
Play that dodgeball. It's going to be difficult. Rush is Eagle Eye with those spears. And as well, Ring and Biscuits on the other side for Xiao there. So they look to stay a bit sustained as they trade back farm and damage in the mid lane. Double jungles, as you said, Kobe, going to make their way around. See where the action starts off. Look at supports mirroring each other here for wards as well.
Yep, very standard, looking for to fish out the enemy double jungle.
Get what they need.
Gain information on where they started. That lets them know that they can come into the strong side, red buff quadrant here for Santorin as well as Dyrus. And it looks like it is going to be the standard 3-man push on the turret while the jungler keeps on jungling to grab the rest of the camps. And then they leave the top laner there to grab a few extra minions on the wave as they bounce after the turret goes down. Bit earlier pressure here from Impulse on the bottom turret. And Bjergsen taking a significant amount of harass. Also, Xiao missing that minion, but he still has plenty more to clean up and put him in the lead. Should be able to get lead off of this.
Bjergsen putting himself in range just so he can clear that and get back. Xiao can't do much after a few of those combos. Quite mana heavy. Down to the bot lane, looks like Santorin keeping eyes on that side of the map, making sure he gets himself some more jungle as well as he clears it out. So, mirrored both sides, Kobe, as we start this one off, things should just kind of be slow rolling as we make our way through the early part of the game. And just that 21-12 CS lead in the mid lane. It's about the gold difference that you're seeing up on the chart right here.
And that is in the face of the Twisted Fate passive.
Right, that's true.
Extra gold.
always got to be wary. Rush is there, as they called it. Turret goes down on the bot side. No play to be made. They're saying if we can go for something, we will, but both are going to. Actually, no. Dyrus stays, so he did decide to keep himself there.
All right. So, yeah, well, he's just trying to soak up the minions.
Right.
Oh, you're right. Oh, they duo lane headed down bottom here for both teams, and they will match up without a bottom lane turret for Impulse. Corki still does need to get to level 6 before he gets the super strong lane phase, so should be a fairly standard thing. Oh, Adrian, though, is nowhere to be found. So Apollo's going to have to play
he is
hide and seek here down the bottom on Kog'Maw. He's just trying to hover around and soak experience behind the wall while he waits for Adrian to arrive. Dyrus was able to soak some more experience down bottom before returning up top. Looks like Impact is able to freeze the lane up top, though. So Maokai can position this lane right in front of his turret, keep it there until TSM either force a play across map, which it looks like they are going to do, and they're not going to try and break that freeze by pushing it in.
I wonder if TSM knows that keeping it safe could put Tip on tilt. They want to fight all the time.
Well, so far this game, Impulse able to stay calm.
Yeah.
Now they're going to have to deal with the bottom lane, though. Minions pushing away from them. No turret.
Oh, boy.
And Rush is keeping guard of the bottom lane.
All right, here's that skill shot that could come back to bite them. Teleport comes in a pretty good spot, able to divide the fight onto Wild Turtle first. Valkyrie's down, and also his flash has been used. Lost Boy is able to just walk out. Do they get enough pressure onto the bottom side of that map? TP goes to the top. Dyrus says turret time. Are they going to be able to say Dragon? I don't think so with Santorin still there.
Yeah, well, he's able to break the freeze by drawing out the teleport with a play down bottom and then answering it with one of his own. But it looks like Impulse want to go for that dive.
Oh boy, they're getting their fight that they want. 6.5 minutes in, they start the first one. First blood going on to Wild Turtle. Impact gets out, making a good one that with the rest of the team. First kill goes to him.
I love it when we see tanking by the ranged champions first for the team. Adrian takes as much as he possibly can before getting out of tower aggro and having it transferred down to Impact. Able to safely execute the 4v3 dive, which is not always the most safe. But good juggling there, and they come out with the first blood unscathed for Team Impulse. Xiao even able to rotate up top and ensure that Dyrus was unable to get any extra damage down on that turret. Xiao, by the way, still holding that lead for now.
He's been running from lane to lane. Bjergsen pretty much backing every siege that's been crashing into the turret. Already home guard lucidity's built up for him.
Yeah, he's
and
definitely
a whole lot of wards.
Definitely going to have his eyes on bottom lane, as still they're looking to take advantage of that downed turret with TF teleports. Shen, though, not going to be level 6 for quite a while, as Dyrus in the lane swap, not able to get the experience needed.
Nope. Quick pause going into the game. We'll see what happened for that right now. It's 10,600 gold to 9.8 right now. So just that small lead and a good fight in the bottom lane here coming in for Impulse gives them a bit of what they need. TSM, usually a team to have a bit of a gold lead at the start of a game, but it looks like Impulse is going to try to take that away from them here at the 10-minute mark.
Yeah, and so if we're looking at this gold lead, it is all concentrated on Impact and Rush. The Bash Brothers combo for Team Impulse, this is a lot of where their early game playmaking comes from. Rush has been able to farm much quicker with Nidalee than Santorin has, and been able to play defense for his team. So the double early ward buy for him working out and being able to earn his own gold lead. Then Impact with the first blood money boosted him up above Dyrus, as well as that freeze he was able to hold, even if it was only for 20 seconds. Got a substantial amount of minions from it. So we'll see if that does come into play here. As we said, both top laners not going to be level 6 for a while, and their teleports are both down, so they're going to have to match up with each other. Go toe-to-toe. See if Impact can get any bullying done.
That's what needs to happen. We heard when back in the day when Liquid fought against Impulse, Kwa said again about impact, it's you have to pretty much play to what he does. The guy's always moving, the guy's always making plays, so it's almost very hard to do what he's doing if he gets a lead. Dyrus, a little bit of pressure on his shoulders now. The Shen teleports, however, could definitely change things in the favor of TSM here once they get these TPs to the right area. It's something we really haven't seen, the gate, the globals being used by TSM yet. Still a lot to see in this game as we almost get back in. We're just restarting Santorin's client, making sure that the camera is not locked. I'm sure we've all felt the plague of that at least once or twice, but it is quite easily fixable, and it has been fixed. We're going to be hopping back into the matchup. Thank you for bearing with us. 7.5 minutes in. Remember that first blood just came from the bottom lane, so a little bit of momentum to Impulse. See if they still hold that after the pause.
Yeah, that number, by the way, is about 570 gold there. 600 now for Impact, as Dyrus has to play fairly defensive. He's respecting the lead as well as his lack of vision and his lack of turret. So he's got to play very safe here. You can see he's just hovering on experience range. Doesn't want to get in range of Twisted Advance for Impact to be able to set up a kill with Nidalee, since he has so few wards available to him. Nidalee's down bottom though.
That's what they're pinging. They're afraid. They actually want to take out Rush. You can see him kind of converging down here. Bjergsen making sure he's on the bottom side of his lane to stay safe, or at least get the TP to a distance he can reach. That is advantage to the team. And it looks like they back off of this. Still pressure being warded around that dragon, and that's just about it. Buffs are going to be grabs. Yep. May see a little bit more action here in the mid.
Not only is it a gold advantage for Rush, by the way, over Santorin, but a very big experience advantage as well. However, you know, Santorin focusing on the objectives here. The golden experience disadvantage he has with Rush is going to balloon right now because he doesn't get much from Dragon. But gaining that first buff for his team is huge, as well as neutral objective on a double teleport team is always quite important, because they want to try and draw Impulse across the map and pick them off, make use of their numbers advantage with those teleports. Dyrus just hitting 6, by the way, so you got to watch out for one of those plays. Here comes the roam from Lustboy as well into his own jungle, trying to get some vision back for Dyrus.
Level 7 to level 5, but Rush does not know what's on the other side of that Annie either. Not enough deep vision. He is big though. Quite a CS lead right now over Santorin. 44 to 29 in the jungle, and he is just continuously hard farming it out right now for his team. Quick pickups around the map. Trailblazers for both junglers coming into this one.
Early home guard rush for Bjergsen as well.
That was very, very early. One of those first buys before the Sheen.
Those city boots pretty common now as he wants to get off more teleports. And the Sheen, he will have high impact gank with his teleport. Here comes the duo roam up top, and they find themselves a ward for their troubles, but that also signals Impact will play defensively now, and the roam will not gain them anything.
So it seems like with obviously the proactive gank in the bot lane, it's a little reactive here to Impulse already. Things have slowed down with their TPs not being up, and TSM's the one kind of making the moves.
Yeah, and remember, I did talk about, you know, Impulse showing some new plays in the last couple of weeks. Plus, due to the composition that they have, where it's a much more standard team versus a double teleport, you have to be very, very cautious when playing against the double solo laners, both able to answer any cross-map move.
Can't just be running around all willy-nilly.
Yeah, exactly. So this is something that I commended Rush for last week, and we can do so again this week. He has been able to adjust priorities and not just mindlessly go look for fights. He's been able to earn a lead by farming. The hard farm jungler, which is Santorin, who usually earns his leads that way. Rush taking a page out of his book. Obviously, Nidalee is extremely well equipped to do that and can clear really fast, but Rush is making it work for him. 2 levels up still.
Gotta look at the bigger picture of things. May not be having 50 kills, but he's setting the team up
gold
quite
is
a bit.
Gold.
Gold is gold. There you
Where
go.
it comes from.
Heard it from Kobe. Confirmed downstream. 700 of that is in the favor of Impulse right now. Those first few turrets are the only real action we've seen go down, along with that kill in the bot lane. 12 minutes on the clock here. Looks like Wild Turtle's going to be quite focused on this turret, as the duos are going to go back to the top lane here. A little bit of a long laning phase.
Yeah, let's see if this Gragas movement up top will result in any action, because Bjergsen is itching to use his teleport. Oh, Xiao wants to scratch that itch for you.
Wow, that was a great play by him. The combo almost taking down Bjergsen. Wild Turtle flashing forward. The Valk! Turtle goes hard on this one. The rest of the team has the chance to follow, but they were knocked up by the Howling Gale. Turtle, being too far forward, using all of his escapes to enter, gets himself killed. Xiao now, remember the ultimate's down, but Rush has the gap closed. The double kill coming in for the Poke Apollo. Now Santorin could be the one going down, and it all looks so good, but it all is so wrong now.
You've activated the Impulse trap card, TSM, and Dyrus is going to pay for it as well.
Dyrus as well. 3 members of Impulse coming up. This kills the Shen. And actually, he might get out. This does not kill the Shen. Rush leaping forward for a last kill. They know the boundaries of their champion. Bjergsen coming in. There's still a heal that can come out from Rush here to give himself a save. Pick a card is up. Gate is up. They could be going back onto Bjergsen now. It's a 4v1. He's able to peel off stage left and get himself out of a bad situation. Impulse 5-0 after the entire fight.
Yeah. TSM a little bit too itchy there, really wanted to force the play in 2 places at once. And it was all because of the Xiao huge chunk on mid lane. He takes Bjergsen into the danger zone, 300 life left, and he draws out the Shen ultimate. So Dyrus, I actually lost track of him because I think he used his Shen ultimate as well as teleport in there to bounce all over the map, try and save everybody, but wasn't able to save either side, and things go bad for TSM in top lane and mid lane. Team Impulse able to clean up, and actually they are the ones to play reactively to the double teleport comp. They have been able to adjust.
Oh, that play went down with TSM thinking they were going to have so much more pressure from Bjergsen's gate just up the river. Instead, he face-checked Xiao.
As I said, it's all about that Xiao chunk. He went aggressive at the right time, taking a chunk out of Bjergsen as the call is being made. They pulled one of the wheels off right when it went mid. So yeah, Dyrus does use Shen ultimate. He used Shen ultimate onto Bjergsen to save him, then teleport up to the top lane, but it's too late because Impact already used his teleport up to the top lane. And this is without Rush even there at the beginning of the fight. Turtle deep in enemy territory, and everything starts to crumble. And he doesn't even get off the stun there. Rush arrives to clean everything up.
Wow. And it just explodes. On top of the fact that Rush has been hard farming, he just gets 1 kill and 3 assists for keeping himself on the rift and in the right spot at the right time. Apollo now feeling confident. He has the teammates around him to keep poking a bit in the mid lane. But things are great after that back for Impulse. The Triforce is completed for Kog'Maw. Athene's almost into what seems to be a Zanya's coming in now for Xiao. And as we see the Shroud, Spectre's Cowl, there we go. Things are hard sometimes. On to Impact. Along with that Catalyst, he's going to be going for most likely that Righteous Glory, but not right away.
Impulse definitely a team to be feared. On a huge hot streak, whereas TSM starting to crumble. Now, Reggie did talk about also that they just care about improving in the next couple of weeks because they're confident in their playoff position. They feel they can get into playoffs very easily, and they want to try and make their improvements during the normal season now before heading to playoffs. However, there's been so much talk about all the drama and the mentality of the players when they start to struggle a little bit because there's so much pressure on a team like Team SoloMid, who are so used to being the #1 team in North America.
Yeah.
Anything but first. It's a bit disappointing. And the pressure on them to keep up that first place spot is starting to wear a little bit.
What is this? Like. It's been a large pressure from themselves over time, and as well from the fans, because they expect now almost more than TSM themselves, who want the win, obviously. it just becomes more and more difficult. The teams around them leveling up very fast, being able to control these games, patches to patch.
Yeah, Impulse definitely one of those teams.
Yep.
Great improvements this season. Again, though, I still have to question what champion you give Rush.
Yeah. Again, it seems like they have allowed a team, like they allowed Liquid Phoenix to get a Zero. Rush gets an Italy on this one.
TF ultimate
goes
used, and it reveals that Xiao is in place. So Bjergsen holds on to it. Good call there. Reserved play here from TSM, and they're just going to gain some positioning on mid turret. Krug's buff on Santorin. He needs to get one auto attack off for the extra damage. Not worth it. He decides too dangerous to go in there.
Yep.
And he doesn't get the extra damage. Rip.
Playing it safe, why not? 5-0 right now, you don't want to give anything back. This also means there's going to be some nice shutdowns on these kills if TSM does get it. There's a good bit of gold rolled up in that.
They're actually spread out really evenly over the Impulse team, the last hit. So your shutdowns.
That's true.
Not
the kills themselves, yeah. Won't get too much of a surge in gold.
With that being said, I think it really does have to do with the play here. Team Impulse surprising TSM a bit. TSM really just expecting Impulse to play their normal style, you know, all very aggressive, all inning, trying to have fights everywhere, and so they picked these double teleports, but then Impulse able to recognize it and play accordingly.
I think they may have even expected more from Rush, even as we heard from Bjergsen in the beginning. He's the guy that can he makes or breaks the game with his style of play, and this time he wasn't pushing himself forward to break anything. He was making all game.
Beautiful thing about jungling in League of Legends, manipulating your opponents by, you know, showing a pattern and breaking it.
That's right.
Yes, last weekend, Rush had one of his first games where he went hard farm mode instead of early aggressive gank, and it did throw off the enemy. It's working again here. And you can no longer expect the single play style from him. All right, Apollo's right next to Darius, but Darius has no backup, so he decides to abort mission. He's even under level because of the lane swap. Solo lane.
That's a good point.
Shen actually under level for that Kog'Maw, and he does not want that fight.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of want for one kill. That's a
really
lot of want for one kill. Impact's going to try to turn into the fight. Is the rest of the team? No, they're not. It's going to be bottom tier turret here. Xiao's got pressure, but yeah, a bit of a base race.
Turret race, at least.
Outside the base race. Almost inside.
You know
this is when they're just kicking down the pink flamingos on your lawn. You don't really worry. They're not at the front door just yet.
And it looks like Impulse.
Calling cops.
Somebody call the cops quick, because Impulse are going to get 2 turrets out of this. TSM only got 1 turret out of the exchange. Yes, they got the kill, but TSM used both global ultimates.
Yeah.
2 summoner spells on Bjergsen, summoner spell on Lustboy. No flash from Annie left there. 5 members committed.
The exit resources.
Impulse get 2 turrets for only 1 given away to TSM. Yes, they got the kill, but so much expended for that. TSM really reaching for the stars here because Impulse have played reactively and have... Yeah, because they played reactively, that's just it. Because they played reactively, TSM starting to get a little over-anxious and reaching for the stars here.
Could be a big pain in the butt as well if anything happens with those inhibitor turrets now, especially being on the bottom side of the map. See if Impulse pressures it. He knew what he was doing. Just giving everybody else a heart attack. 40 seconds on Dragon. The blue was stolen on the way out. Not that it's absolutely huge for Bjergsen, but I'm sure Wild Turtle would actually love to have that continuously, and he's been now denied again.
Yeah.
It's a little bit hard to get up on these turrets. They've only done a bit of damage, you can see, to the mid already. 21 minutes in, and TSM are only looking at 1 last outer turret at the top side of the map. 17 seconds on Dragon is warded up semi by both teams right now. So let's see. Let's focus on Baron.
It's so impressive that Impulse have been able to gain the turret lead and the map lead on the double teleport squad. Because both times that TSM have made calls to go all in, committed, Team Impulse have reacted perfectly and cleaned up on the exit.
Usually, like you say, you see a team fight the teleport team where they're at. Because if you're at the other spot, you're going to get engaged on real hard.
Exactly.
So they're just throwing TSM every which way.
I've actually been saying that for 3 years. Go to the source of ever since the LCS existed. Go to the source of the global. But that's the change, the wrinkle in the plan. When there's double teleports on both solo laners, the source is everywhere.
Hightail it out of there. Oh, very good play across the board here from Impulse. You saw the first kill that even happened, or I should say death, was on Impact, and it cost quite a few ultimates and summoner spells to get it. TSM is looking to get these kills to just get themselves inching back into the game. Here, a dragon can help through stats, which are necessary, or which are gold in the end. So it works. It works.
This is consolation prize for TSM.
This is the spider ring.
And it's not even, yeah, exactly. It's not even a good one. It's not even like a... What's the ring that has actually a lollipop?
That, you just said it.
Is that what it's called, the lollipop ring? I feel like it has a cooler name.
Again, Impact, the one that gets hit. One ultimate. Is there another one to come in? He's going to TP out. Not actually going to be able to make it there with a bit of getting jostled around. And it's, however, going to give them a run for their money.
All right, so it's not just the spider ring. It's not just the dragon. They get the ring pop rib. They get a kill on top of it. But they lose the turret in exchange. Impulse constantly keeping up the pressure when TSM use their teleports. They've done so well with not going into panic mode, which often happens when you have multiple globals on the enemy team, and they double global you and they attack one point. Impulse counterattack has been perfect this game. It's all about the Impulse counterattack this game. And they do it once again. All outer turrets down for them. Giving up second dragon is almost nothing to them. All they want is the 6%. CSM already had one. Dragon number 2 means very little. And they're able to get a huge gold lead. Giant ward coverage in the red buff quadrant of TSM to prep them for Baron. This is all going according to plan for Team Impulse. Maybe there was a small hiccup there with Impact. He's not quite on board with the full plan, but everything else going swimmingly.
And there seems to be, you kind of see the shift in not having one strategy in this game. We heard Fly say that we don't have a particular strategy for TSM. We have multiple strategies and we'll pull from the one we need.
Yeah.
And it seems like they can do that in a game as well, using the passive early. Once they got that kill, they did not let go.
We
changing into proactive.
Gave Fly a lot of credit last split when they had their big swing. I think he still deserves a lot of credit this split as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Helping Impulse diversify.
Making sure it works. A convincing game as well to not have Sivir on. Usually that's their bread and butter in the way they're making plays here, and they're still making things work off the ball. Making sure the teleports don't get them down. TSM still with the chance to make a big play. If they have the wards to catch somebody out, not Impact all the time, then they'll be all right. Here, just Dyrus and Impact going back and forth in the wet noodle fight in the bot lane. You can see the team was actually pulling down, but now Tip is actually just going to stay halfway through here and make sure Baron doesn't become an option for TSM.
Yeah, if Impact is able to gain control of the 1v1 with Dyrus, which it still looks pretty even, so I'm not quite giving him that edge yet. As Dyrus has been able to give just as good as he can get so far.
Both heal after a while, so it
it's not though. All right, so yeah, they're still pretty even, but when that split push does turn,
I feel like it goes on forever.
It will be a pretty big point in the game.
Yeah.
You always have to think about the Twisted Fate teleporting in again on top of you. Impulse have reacted to that really well so far, though. Right now they're shoving up mid and they've gained position.
Fortunately, don't have the minion wave just yet, and a ward placed over the wall you can see there by Lustboy. Gets taken out right quick. Seems like they're teeter-tottering on what to do here. Don't really have any minion waves in their favor to be dancing around this area, but maybe you're looking for a mistake. Nice job. A present now for Dyrus. Impact being a nice guy.
Impulse here have let their vision around Baron lapse.
That's true.
And
this
could be a big play for TSM.
I was gonna say, if you have that Kog'Maw, you have a Nidalee, and your face check and brush is not the right. You're not walking into the right situation. So Bjergsen able to grab that one. Does not go to Wild Turtle actually. They want those cards from Bjergsen to control the fights.
Yeah, TSM are doing a good job of pulling the map here, as they've got top wave shoving. Side wave control is pretty pretty strong here. Dyrus as well is stuck down in bottom. So they were able to spread the minions, but Impulse just sticking together, checking the brush with their abilities, and calling impact over. Have been able to hold without giving up too much around that Baron. Let's see what it would take for TSM to actually get a blackout on the Baron pit. They've got 2 upgraded sweepers, 1 still not upgraded for Bjergsen, and then only 1 pink ward in inventory. So it's a decent amount of vision denial that they have available.
Oh man.
But not complete.
These fights could start getting good for TSM. Locket of the Iron Solari is finished, and the Aegis for Adrian is actually quite far off. He's only sitting about 500 gold right now, and he's 2 recipe items.
Yeah,
Get it.
I'm a huge fan of rushing. Oh, here we go. There's the teleport play.
He's the guy. Every time they're going on the tree, trying to cut it down, he is still very big, though, with Vengeful Maelstrom on. Able to mitigate 80% of that damage coming into him.
Yeah, and I think he'll just recall, heal the fountain, and then try and catch the wave that Dyrus is split pushing here. So that Twisted Fate ultimate didn't have the biggest effects, and they've also given up position on mid lane once again as Impulse shove up.
It's like a big tug of war right now.
Wild Turtle gonna try and clear by himself, and the Shen ulti comes in super early. Impulse gonna back out here. Maybe that was some miscommunication.
Could have been an engage with how TSM was coming back from the jungle, but just too far off.
Yeah, if Bjergsen had still had his Twisted Fate ultimate, then I can see that working.
Yeah, they would have no confidence.
But maybe they didn't communicate that they just missed the last one.
He also Abyssal and Lich Bane, so the Zhonya's plays from him can't be too effective just yet. He's still quite a ways off there. They're going to try to start up on this Baron, knowing the TP is down for Dyrus. He's going to have to come to a ward somewhere, and they feel they have that ward coverage as well. Now that there's one in the Baron pit, they may be a little deterred. That's going to be the hit. It was still the channel for Wild Turtle. He gets off. Does the ball move into the right spot here from Xiao? Watching where the damage is coming from the back line. Rush now entering from the bottom side of the fight. Too many minions for him to really do any good work. But like you said, good disengage. TSM make it out quite unscathed. Just a few summoners.
Yeah, that was a good disengage there from Santorin and crew, because I thought that Xiao shockwave was going to gain them more than it did. Dragon, though, going to be a little bit less scary for the team to start up, and Lust Boy flashes.
Impact can't get hit up that many times. He is again the focus. They take the tank down. Looking at the rest of the team, that's a very squishy Impulse, and they can start dying to this TSM team now.
Cornered.
They are jockeying back and forth position. Gate goes down, and they decide not to take it.
Dyrus is out of teleports. He already used his ultimate as well as the summoner spell, so TSM give up on the chase. 1 kill for the Dragon and position on mid lane. Pretty good mid-game fight there for TSM. They definitely needed some more gold to work with, and they got just that, as well as being able to clear out the pink ward in Baron pit will be pretty significant.
What? They were like doing 100 miles an hour, and then they took the bottom turret and the middle turret, and it seemed like Impulse didn't know where to go. TSM almost took control of the game there, and that was only at 26 minutes. 4 minutes ago, Impulse was pretty much controlling this game, and it seems like without having those minions to push, being in the mid lane twice with no minion wave, TSM has just kind of been able to ward up and get back.
You always have to be cautious against the double teleport teams, especially when you get this late in the game. Doesn't matter how many early game counterattacks you are able to pull off to get yourself that lead.
Yeah.
If you start giving away the global gold back and the map coverage to TSM, one strong cross-map double teleport play can, get you a huge swing in money. If TSM are able to make that play and pick someone off, enabling them to get Baron, there's a lot of money left standing in the outer turrets. They could grab some global gold from the last 2 outer turrets. Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
Almost at it again. They're gonna rush this one. Shen, the ultimate backup, though. Dyrus is ready to come in.
Wild Turtle gets his chance on a Corki steal here. If he has the big one up, he's actually on the right side, getting ready to fight. Dyrus comes in. That's going to be a Stand United teleport in. Cleanse onto Apollo. He wants to get the chase, and they want
still chasing him. They want to hunt him down.
Oh boy, that's all that's on the menu. Minion line just coming in to favor Bjergsen on that one. Rush takes damage. They're going to be able to take down Burger King, but now the push is in the mid lane, dictated by Team SoloMid, and they do have a minion wave this time, and no return can be walked in. Tip's going to have to teleport back and only a few home guards on base.
So they're going to get a turret for Bjergsen's death. 30 seconds left. After that, they've started up the Baron.
Whoa,
you can
back.
retreat into it. Yes, Team Impulse do have ward lines here, but they're just taking unnecessary damage.
Yeah.
They're going to collapse. Actually, it's a pincer movement. They're staying on Baron while TSM come.
Beautiful job by Impact and Xiao to kind of deter them, creating a wall of champions that they couldn't get through right away. TSM didn't want that fight.
They're still staying on it.
This is absolutely crazy. Banking a lot of damage
up in 10, he has ultimate.
That Blade of the Rune King, as well as what Rush can put out. They actually Talisman of Ascension out of this one. TSM looks like they want the fight. A bit of low HP and low mana bars could equal something that they want. They're only doing it for pressure right now, and both teams are going to stop the engage.
Yeah, the cracks starting to show, and the pressure of the cross-map plays from TSM starting to force Impulse into more and more difficult decisions. Take a lot of damage from that Baron, really wanting to try and gain something more from the Bjergsen kill, but they're unable to do so, and TSM climbing back into this one. One of the outer turrets taken for them in exchange for the kill. You have to be so careful anytime you kill one of these solo laners because the global teleports come back up so quickly for them. Starting that Baron is really, really dangerous.
All right, a little bit of a breather. Whew, is right. 33 minutes in, only 6-3. How are we so excited right now?
Because
it's just a good game, that's why.
There's so much pressure. Many players have been in this situation where you're playing against teams with teleports like this, and you get into the high pressure situation of the late game calls.
Pressure.
Calling between inhibitor exchanges and Baron may be the most difficult thing, and barring the Nexus for
That's
Baron.
the thing I love. You can go 0-0 on the board,
done.
and sometimes it's one of the best games you have seen.
Yeah, it's just because it's so hard to judge. You have to take so many things into account. It's the DPS output of both teams.
Yeah.
The mobility of both teams. This is, by the way, a Janna who rushed the
Talisman.
Talisman is the name of it now, which is on a ridiculously short cooldown. This item is so effective. Anyways, it's a beautiful item, but it also provides a lot more uncertainty for both teams. Even though Team Impulse do not have TF or Shen, they do have a lot of mobility with this Janna who's able to speed boost the entire team, like every 30 seconds basically.
Right, yeah.
So there's so many things you have to take into account, from DPS to movement speed to positioning here, that those are the situations that we really enjoy. The high intensity late game exchanges of objectives.
All right, now I'm interested to see who can find their way into a fight. Probably not Xiao right now. He's actually got about 1,700 gold to spend, so he'll want to do that. Wild Turtle banking on quite a bit of cash in his pocket as well. Even at 0-2-2, he's going to want to get that spent before these teams match up one more time. So that on the mind, it's going to be a bit before we see a fight. 3,000 to 4,000 gold lead that Impulse has been able to get. Wild Turtle actually almost finding himself in a very scary situation. And this Baron is pretty much what's going to be which way that tug of war goes that we've been seeing for the past 10 minutes. Yeah. And now it seems like TSM has kind of not lost their oomph, but that drive they just had, giving them the few turrets. Impulse has now been able to stave that off, so now we're at that stalemate.
Look at Bjergsen. He's trying to pull a sneaky play coming in behind the minion line, behind Dyrus to be able to pull off a 2 versus 1 surprise, but a very, very smart ward from Impulse and Impact down in the bottom side. Saw Bjergsen come up. He knows that he's versus 2 people here, and they've finally shown themselves at the turret, going to be able to brute force it down, and Impulse are forced to start up the Baron to try and draw the double teleport up. I think it's a good call from TSM.
This is the distance. There's the TP coming in. Lustboy's going to be right on top. The Shen comes in on the Lustboy. Impact in the middle. A nice arcane smash to get everything popped up. A great Monsoon keeping Dyrus out of the taunt from anybody. The DPS on the back line of Impulse has a chance to fire, which means TSM is starting to retreat from the fight. The initial engage did not go the way they wanted.
Restart it.
They are going to restart it. They haven't stopped since they've been trying, Kobe. Santorin now trying to get in. He gets hit. That's vision of the entire TSM team along with some wards. Impact being the one to still hit. Righteous Glory goes up. He's onto Bjergsen, a big hit. This target goes down and he actually dodges out a lot of damage. Bjergsen now free with a low mana bar though. Can he provide what the team needs? Back onto him. That's the only eyes that Impulse had, was that priority target. Rush. Oh! Wild Turtle dives into the fight. His team had no chance of saving him, and Impulse has been waiting for this, chomping at the bit. Now for 36 minutes on the Baron.
What a beautiful team fight from Team Impulse. Multiple points of re-engage there. I'll wait for the replay, but that was exquisite execution from Team Impulse there. And they're gonna earn themselves the Baron for it. TSM do strike back with the Dragon to get number 3, but this is going to give Impulse the pushing power that they want to start the siege.
What a fight coming out there, and what a way to end it as well. Turtle jumping into it, kills coming in for the rest of Tip, and it just got much bigger for them.
It was the flash re-engage at multiple points from Impulse. Impact goes in to snag Bjergsen as he moves up, and
look how low they are to even win this fight.
Exactly. Okay, so let's take a look at here. This is the initial engage. So they go on to Bjergsen, try and burn some missile from. That was a beautiful Zhonya's to burn the shockwave, but look at the re-engage. Rush and Impact are on the same wavelength. Rush goes in, he Zhonya's, draws attention from everybody down to the bottom side, allowing Impact, even on low health, to flash in and snag Bjergsen. It's because these guys play the game the same way, and they're so aggressive, and they're on the exact same wavelength here.
That's what we heard able to pay off. I was saying in the beginning, Rush, me, Impact, we have that same play style. And we'll just get the bottom lane to follow.
All right, well.
We could do that with a Talisman of Ascension.
Inhibitor number 2 going to follow here for Impulse.
They don't have the Sivir. Great bit of mid to late game there from Impulse. Just on a knife's edge the entire time, back and forth at the Baron, losing a few of their inner turrets. Now the fight from Santorin, going for broke in their own base. It looks like Impulse actually wants this fight still. Nobody can help Santorin as he dives in. Just too much control and too healthy of an Impulse team.
All right, Apollo and crew looking to finish it off as they melt Dyrus.
Huge chunks onto the tankiest person right now coming out of Team SoloMid. Dyrus is forced back to the base. There are home guards on the member of Team SoloMid right now, but it doesn't look like they're doing much. The sombrero coming out from Xiao as he throws it out just for a bit of a highlight play. And they're going to be on to the Nexus turrets. They see they don't even need the shockwave right now with the strength they're putting out and the way they are able to take these fights. Wild Turtle doing what he can for a few last bits of damage. Lust Boy as well to try his hand at the fight. 12-4, 39 minutes in. Bjergsen goes down on the fountain. That's an ace on TSM as Team Impulse takes down TSM.
What a game. A new look from Team Impulse, showing that last weekend was not a fluke. They are far more versatile than people give them credit to. Fly being able to diversify the strategies for those guys, and TSM prepped for the Impulse of old, and it was not to be. Continuing their slide, the loss streak for TSM grows, and they start to worry.
So TSM coming into this one got a composition that they could work with. It looked like something they regularly had, but again, allowing the other team to get such a high priority champion in one of the positions seems to be plaguing them across the board. I mentioned Phoenix getting Azir earlier in their TL matchup. A huge pick there. Rush having the comfort and control on that Nidalee as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at picks for a part of it.
Well, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely not 100%.
Yeah, a lot of gameplay as well to be looked at for them. And those guys right there got to be really happy. And this is basically the perfect time for them to make a move like this.
Yeah.
Strong showing here right before playoffs. They definitely want to make a trip to Worlds.
It does not get any easier for Tip down the road. They'll have TDK to end this week out. Should still be a win with the momentum they have, but week 9 spells out Gravity and Liquid. Those are going to be tough matches. Very tough matches for Impulse. Team SoloMid is tomorrow Dignitas and then Enemy and Cloud9, so they should actually be finding wins. We'll see against Cloud9 though. It was game 1 of the split that TSM lost to Cloud9, and now they're kind of looking back in fashion. May not get a long 40-minute drawn-out mistake and winning game.
Seems like this year's gone by so fast, Rib. I can't believe it's almost Worlds times again.
It's going to be crazy. I know Deficio's happy, right, Deficio? It's Worlds. It's going to be great. But another fantastic game from Team Impulse. They seem to have righted the ship in the situation of things going wrong in Champion Select, not just relying on Sivir. Things are panning out, and that's exactly what you need as you head towards the playoffs. Freak is standing by with Tip's top blaner to get his thoughts on their 6th straight win.
Thank you very much, Riv. Yes, I'm here with Impact. Really great win, 6 in a row for you guys now. Are you going to be the best team in North America? What's the ceiling like for you guys?
정말 파죽지세로 6연승하고 계신데요. 목표가 무엇인지 정말 베스트 오브 NA가 되는 것인지 좀 얘기해 주세요.
베스트 NA도 있지만 저희가 최종 목표는 일단 월드 챔피언십을 가는 게 목표이기 때문에 가기 위해선 다 이겨야 된다 생각하고 지금 그걸 이기는 걸 목표로 하고 있어요.
Well, our goal is obviously best of NA would be good, but ultimately we want to advance to World Championship, and then we're really working towards that goal.
Well, next week you guys face some of your biggest opponents, both Team Liquid and Gravity. Next week here, who are the number 1 and 2 teams in North America. What's that week going to look like for you guys?
그 다음 주에는 리퀴드랑 또 그래비티랑 되게 잘하는 팀들이랑 붙잖아요. 네. 어떻게 준비하고 계신지 좀 설명해 주세요.
일단 그 리퀴드랑 GV가 좀 많이 강한 팀이기 때문에 저희가 뱀픽적으로 좀 이득 보고 들어가야지 좀 많이 할 만할 거고요. 저희가 좀 지금 많이 좋아졌지만 좀 더 실력을 올리면 확실히 좀 더 이길 가능성이 높아 보여요.
So they're really strong teams. So we think we need to get an advantage in the pick and ban phase, and we're going to continue to work hard.
All right. So one more question for you, Impact here. Obviously, TSM played a bunch of globals that game, the Twisted Fate, the Shen, and at some point, Shen got ahead of you, and you couldn't split push against him anymore. What were your goals to actually still be useful in that game when Shen's starting to walk over your lane?
저번 TSM과 경기에서 TSM이 그 글로벌 그 얼티가 있는 쉔도 있었고 또 TF도 있었고 했는데 나중에는 쉔한테 좀 발목 잡히는 모습이 보였을 때 그때 어떤 생각을 하셨고 어떻게 이걸 좀 벗어나야겠다라고 생각하셨나요?
일단 그냥 이길 것 같다는 생각밖에 안 들더라고요. 너무 저를 쓸데없이 잡는 게 많아가지고 타워를 다 주고 저를 잡는 거라 엄청 손해봤다고 생각했거든요. 그리고 쉔한테 1대1이 안 된 게 제가 비사지라는 아이템이 안 떠가지고 1대1이 안 돼가지고 이거 좀 위험하겠는데 했는데 그래도 팀원들이 타워랑 다 잘해줘가지고 결국 좋게 갔던 것 같아요.
So I thought we were actually getting ahead because they were, spending too much resources on me while we were split pushing towers, and then I didn't have the item Spirit Visage, so I knew that I couldn't really 1v1 Shen, but overall I think our team had an advantage in that.
Yeah, you guys played really well. Impact, thank you very much. Congratulations on the win, and we're going to send it over to the guys at the analyst desk to break down that game a bit further.
Thank you, Freak. Zyrene, I'm coming to you first. Story of this game seemed to be Team Impulse trying to deal with the multitude of threats on the side of TSM. I want to start in the mid lane because we saw in the video feature leading into the game, Xiao Zhao and the rest of the team recognizing the importance of shutting Bjergsen down.
Yeah, and when you talk about multiple threats, they didn't actually draft a whole lot of threats on the side of TSM. So they just were able to, we talk about it a lot, where if Xiao can neutralize Bjergsen, TIP stand a really good chance of running over the entire game. And that's exactly what they did here. Xiao went on Orianna, one of his classic champions, and just was able to farm up and just knock Bjergsen out of lane. We saw level 2, he got Bjergsen to 1/3 HP, and then he just got lane dominance from there.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at that fight in particular. We're going to pull this up onto your screens right now, the first replay. We're going 12 minutes into the game, and it starts here in the 1v1.
We talk so frequently about Team Impulse being an aggressive team, but what they've added to their game lately is the right moments of aggression. There was so many times in this game where Team Impulse showed restraint because they're waiting for the Shen and the Twisted Fate to not be threats. With the TF being low and no flash and a Shen ult down, this is the time where Team Impulse can be aggressive. And as far as a cooldown discipline perspective goes, TSM doesn't have any right there. They should not be executing a turret dive like that when their two supporters, Shen and Twisted Fate, cannot provide real aid to the battle. So Turtle obviously overextends himself, and this is the first time Team Impulse gets really aggressive in the game, but it's all because Xiao forced those cooldowns out of TSM in the mid lane, and immediately Team Impulse could jump right back into TSM. That was a disaster that could have been avoided for TSM. Once the Shen ult is burned in the mid lane, call off the dive, because even if that wild turtle flash nets a kill onto the Kog'Maw, they're still probably losing the ensuing fight because the support cannot arrive from the mid lane.
Yeah, and TIP, the last 3 games that they've played have involved global compositions. They ran one themselves, then they played against Teammate who ran one, and they just played against TSM. They know the conditions themselves for when they can execute as a global comp, and then they just apply that to their enemy. As soon as those conditions are met on a global comp, it's like he can't come in. It's just a comp. You take the global out of it, and then you can take those fights. And that's how they're playing it, and it was great to watch.
Yeah, and there's a few things that TSM did well after the early game disaster, because once Dyrus got an edge, he did provide good split push pressure that whole game. It was the reason that Team Impulse had to continually just force these group fights, because the spread out gameplay and the team play from TSM was holding strong and pulling them back into the game.
And it took a while. It took till 36 minutes into the game of forcing these global objectives where they finally got the fight they wanted. We're going to pull this replay up on your screen and walk through it.
Yeah, because Zyrene also mentioned earlier that Team Impulse has plenty of experience playing as and against global team compositions. So what you need to do, this is textbook all the way back to Season 2, if a team is dominating you with global ultimates, you have to force the group. And right here, Team Impulse knows exactly that, so it looks like they're being foolish because they're all so low, but that is the only way they can draw TSM in. And they just start this team fight with brute force. They righteous glory onto Bjergsen, and they are so much stronger in the 5v5 that even though Rush and Adrian started this fight with low health, they can still be superior in that engagement. There's definitely some micro things where Team Impulse outplayed TSM in that situation. TSM could have played the fights better, but strategically, that was the only play Impulse actually had left, and they managed to execute.
Yeah, and the only damage dealers are Corki and Twisted Fate. When you all just barrel onto Twisted Fate, you have this sustained damage of the Orianna, the sustained damage of the Nidalee, and the Kog'Maw, who's untouched for a lot of that fight. You're just going to flat out just win that fight, no problem.
Yeah, the QSS definitely coming up big there on the Kog'Maw against the gold cards. The one other thing I want to look at, and we saw the interview there with Impact, is the fact that he was all 4 of the team's deaths. Yeah. But it was not all 4 deaths for nothing.
Yeah, he died twice and got 3 turrets for it, which was absolutely incredible because it gave them this gigantic gold lead that they were able to balloon, and then they were able to force those objectives and force TSM to come to them.
Yeah, it was
sorry about that.
Pretty good game about just point counterpoint there, because even though Team Impulse got turrets when Impact was dying, those deaths themselves actually allowed Dyrus to get split push supremacy and almost brought TSM back into the game. So there was some good balance in that one, and ultimately it was just the team fighting down the stretch that won it for Impulse.
And before we go, TSM have lost the last 4 games they have played now. This is, by TSM standards, a wretched losing streak. What's in the cards for them at this point?
By anyone's standards, a 4-game losing streak is somewhat wretched. It's continuation of their rebuilding plan, obviously. Reginald said he's already stepping in as head coach. There has been a trend downwards, and in correcting that trend, if you're in a valley, it will take time to come back out. The question will be whether they break and continue to fall downwards, because it's not looking good for TSM.
All right, well, there you have it. When we come back, Team Liquid will defend their hold on 2nd place and first-round playoff bye against the likes of Counter Logic Gaming. Stay with us.
Game of the week, Team Impulse versus TSM. Oh boy, they're getting their fight that they want. 6.5 minutes in, they start the first one. First blood going on to Wild Turtle. Impact gets out. Remember, the ultimate's down, but Rush has the gap closed. The double kill coming in for the Poke Apollo. Now Santorin could be the one going down.
I'm showing you. Throw. Kiting. This bad. I catch. Here. Speed up. Corki. Nice. Better.
Team Impulse takes down TSM.